Hello and welcome back to another Talking To episode. I'm your host Teddy, and today I'm being joined once again by
Hayden.
And today we're going to talk about the TMNT 2003 Season 2 Episode 13, Return to the Underground. So, what do you think about this episode briefly?
To be honest, it was very briefly. Oh, trying to put it into words briefly. No, I thought this was a really good episode. It was really good to go back to the Underground and to Necropolis in general, just to see some old faces there, just to see the whole characters return, and just to find out a bit more backstory about this whole underground civilization. I thought it was really good, but there are some parts I do question, so I will explain more as we get into it, but there are some parts that I do question why and how.
I'll just say that this was a pretty great episode for doing stuff which 2012 wouldn't do, which is actually following off some stuff which, if this was 2012, they would have forgotten about and just said something along the lines of, oh yeah, we did it off screen, something along those kind of lines. So I do enjoy how they are following up on previous episodes, and also considering that this does play into I won't say a big storyline in the future, but a decent storyline. It's nice to know that they are still moving forward with this storyline, but at the same time, there are some really awful acted scenes in this episode. I don't know where it was. I don't know if the voice actor was having a off day, but they just were not giving it their all. And so yeah. With that being said, we'll not talk about the beginning bit, because I don't know if you picked up on this, with the bit at the beginning where Donnie's talking over the scenes, a bit before the intro. It sounded like Donnie wasn't the person playing Donnie wasn't really trying. It's like, last time we came to the underground and we made a promise. Or was that just me being a bit harsh?
I'm not too sure. I didn't really pick up on it as such. To be honest, I thought it was like a flashback to when they were originally in the underground. I didn't realise it was like the current scene that was unfolding. But yeah, no, I didn't recognise it. I didn't recognise it at all.
Yeah, I was going to say like other parts, just like when Donnie at the beginning was getting angry, it's like, oh, I can't focus, guys. It wasn't really sound like he was really trying. And then even later with Sydney, we're talking about talking over the scenes where it's getting the crystals, and she goes, and the crystal fell in the lava. It just it sounded like they weren't really trying.
Yeah, no, I'm not too sure. Maybe they were having an off day, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. Well, either way. So for the beginning bit, we do get to see Donnie. He's doing all these different experiments on the crystals, while the Turtles are doing training, playing frisbee, watching movies. What about that scene there?
To be honest, it was kind of weird to see Donnie go to work all this time whilst the Turtles were doing their training and doing everything else without Donnie, because I've never seen Donnie so determined to try and figure out this crystal. This crystal's really got him confused, down in the dumps, and trying to figure out a cure to save his friends in the underground. But to be honest, there wasn't really too much happening with that scene, but when he falls asleep, however, that was a whole different thing. That was just really weird. He was having some sort of, I don't know what it was, like a dream, nightmare, vision. It was really weird, and I was thinking, hold on a minute, this doesn't look like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's gone into some psychic stuff. What's all this?
Yeah, let's say that for the beginning part, I enjoyed how they are following up on everything from the underground, which I do think is really great. And like I said, 2012, they would not have done this. So it's really great which are going back to old story arcs from season 1 and follow up on loose threads, which, let's face it, 2012 would really have, and they would have forgotten about. It's just a good example would be Mutant Man. They never revert him back to being human ever again. Well, in this one, they make a whole episode just to do that. So it's really great to see that they're doing stuff like this. But I have to say that it is quite weird, because at the beginning, Donnie is really annoyed because everyone's messing up his stuff, and it's like, oh, I'm trying to focus to do all this. but at the same time, we haven't been seeing him like trying to figure out this stuff in like the past few episodes. And over like with all the stuff that's happened, with him going to Northampton, then coming back, and then you got Turtles in Space and all that kind of stuff. But like there was like loads of other moments between those episodes where they could have like put in like a few clips of him trying to figure like stuff out. Just because I mean, just like in the last few episodes, we had because I was having clips for like stuff for the like TV's new like news reports, and also Donnie building like these like other vehicles and stuff like that. So I feel like had they put in some other clips of Donnie working on the crystals in previous episodes, then I feel like this bit would be a bit more justified other than just blurting out and be like, oh guys. But yeah, I mean I did enjoy a few of these like other little bits in this little montage, like Toad's playing frisbee and Toad's training. I thought that was really great. And then with the whole psychic or dream thing, it was interesting, I want to say. It's very weird. And I never do also bring up in the actual episode itself with Mikey being like, oh yes, well I had one of those kind of dreams. And I think it would be interesting if they actually like expand that idea of like why they get this dreams or anything like that, but we never find out why. And I feel like there's like so much you could do with that kind of stuff. I mean, and also not to mention like these like the underground people never return to the show ever again. But I feel like they could have like set up like some interesting stuff within the show, like maybe these characters have like a special connection to the Turtles or something along those kind of lines. I feel like there was like so much they could have done, but yet they didn't.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of potential, but unfortunately, like you said, they didn't go and do anything with it.
Yeah, then after that, Donnie finds out that the way to destroy it is by sound. Anything to say about that?
Not really, no. I thought it was kind of rushed in that sense. Like, he had a dream, he had a vision from Quarry, or Sydney, as we now know. And of course, she said, listen to the sounds of the stones or the rocks. And of course, that somehow he clicked the two pieces together and said, oh my gosh, I've got the idea. It's sound. And I thought that was a tad bit rushed. Like, on how he figured it out. Maybe it was like an accident when he turned on something and it created the sound or something. I felt it was just a bit rushed, if you get what I mean.
I felt like it could have been a little bit more interesting because like in like the last story arc, when like they put like two crystals together, it made that very interesting sound. I felt like they could have done something with that. I thought like that would have worked to make a more interesting weakness compared to just using a vibration machine or something. It is like I felt like there was definitely better ways to do a weakness with sound. But then after that, we do get to see Donnie's built a new machine called the Tunneler. Okay, yeah, so what do you think about the Tunneler?
The Tunneler? Now, I know Donnie is an inventor, right? And I know Donnie can make some crazy things. But this, I think, is a bit, like, too much. Like, Donnie has somehow made the indomitable. Like, this machine is unstoppable. This machine can drive through anything, really. It can go through walls, it can go through stone, bedrock, you name it, it can go through anything. Hell, even survive lava. That Donnie's kind of just outdone himself, really, with this drill. And of course, this drill is not even like an actual drill bit on it, it's lasers. Like, I know Donnie's very inventive and how he can build things in the underground, but laser drills? That just seems a bit far-fetched for what Donnie has, you know? Unless he stole it from TCRI or the Utron when he had a chance, but it just doesn't seem... It just doesn't add up. Like, how has he got this technology? Like, I know Donnie is renowned for making technology out of the blue, but it seems a bit far-fetched, if you get what I mean.
I'd just say, for the most part, I think the Tunneler is a pretty cool thing. I think I only used it one more time after that. So I feel like there was like I'd say for like every machine that Donnie builds, there's so much potential with it, but they just don't use it. And I know that it's only used to sell toys and all that, but I felt like with 2003, with how they do stuff, they only put stuff in there for a reason and then use it quite a few times. but with most of these machines, they don't really use them all too much, which is a bit weird and disappointing. And this one's like no exception, because I do think it's kind of cool, and I'd say like this would have been like a really good replacement for the battle shell. That I mean, just like why they could have gone around the streets, just drilling up like Pearl Dragon's like lair. There's there's so much possibility, but yeah, I just say for that, I think that the overall thing, I do think it is pretty cool, and I'd say that it does fit in line with like what Donnie does do, but I'd just say that the bit where he did go into lava, I was like, well, the heat shield, like heat shields will protect us. I think that was going a bit too far there, because I mean, he lives in a sewer. If like people like government people can't even do that, and they have access to like the most advanced stuff in the world, and yet Johnny can build it from stuff in sewers and like junkyard and all that. It's, I know that we do keep saying this a lot, but it's unrealistic.
Yeah, no, I find it very hard to believe that Donnie has the same capacity as like some sort of military government installation complex in his lair. Like, he can make this technology that doesn't even exist. Not even humans have created this technology yet, and somehow he's jumped like 1,000 years into the future and somehow made this indestructible machine that can drive through walls and bedrock and stone and drive through lava. I'm like, this is just... Sure, don't get me wrong, it's a great story element piece within the story, but it just seems like so too much. It just... I can't perceive this as like... It's really cool, it's overpowered, it's indestructible almost, but it seems too far-fetched for me.
Yeah, I would say that, like, it's not a bad thing. I just think that they need to scale it back to be a tad bit more realistic, but still have their element of fantasy and all that. I think like the show does that really well, but stuff like this is... I mean, I know that like we really look into this way too much, but at the same time, they gotta do their jobs right. So yeah, after that, we do get to see Tunnel goes down into the underground, and we do get to see all the monsters have, or I should say, all the people have turned back into the monsters. What do you think about that bit there when you first saw that bit?
When I saw the people, well, monsters, people, that word's going to be like used quite a lot, but for context, I'm going to use the people and the monsters in the same context. So basically, the people, seeing the people and the monsters, it was really weird, because I thought, oh, they must have been cured, like, from the stone. They stayed in the city, and surely they wouldn't be monsters still, so something bad must have happened. That's what I first thought. And then, of course, we see the monsters, they're attacking each other, they're attacking the turtles in their indestructible machine, and then it's crazy to think that they could just pick up this giant machine, this indestructible machine, and just chuck it into a pool of lava. Like, they are not happy to see them, let's just say that.
Yeah, it was... I mean, I have to say that it was quite cool to see all the monsters in their variety of different forms trying to attack all the things. It was kind of cool, but it's... I don't know, it's like, just something about it just seemed a little bit... I'd say that this is probably where things went a little bit off the rails, where it was thrown into lava. I mean, it was kind of cool, but I think it just... I don't know, because I just say that like, with the last time we saw them, and how they were presented as like being big, strong monsters that they actually feared, compared to this time where it's just like, oh no, it's an obstacle now. They lost a lot of that element of like fear compared to the last time we saw them. And I think that was just because of how quickly they was able to like drive past them and didn't really think too much of them. I do think that was like quite disappointing, but I'd say that it was a decent scene, but it just lost a lot of that element of like fear. So yeah, so after that, we do get to see them go into the like house bit, and they realise that Corey's there, and turns out that Corey's not actually in her own mind, and she's in a monster state, and they had to fight her. What do you think about that scene there?
To be honest, when I saw Corey for the first time, I'm thinking, okay, Corey's not right. She's not herself because she's not understanding the turtles, she's not understanding what she's doing, and she's acting all violent and aggressive, so I'm thinking she must be not good. Like, she's not herself. And seeing her attack the turtles and almost make Mikey into a puddle of turtle stew, it was very, very weird, but also very exciting as well, because I'm thinking, okay, something's happened, something bad's gone down, and everyone is now acting crazy. So, what's the play here? What's the catch? Like, is it the Shredder? Have they come back and taken back the monsters, the people, into their world, or something different? But then, of course, we then later find out that, unfortunately, they decided to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah, I'll say that with this bit here, it was. I'll say that it was quite cool to like see all the turtles like use like, all the different like rucksacks with all the different weapons, with like Mikey using the nets and Brother using the lasers, all that kind of stuff. It was quite cool to see that, and like Corey being in her monster state was quite cool to see because I say like we didn't really get to see so much of that last time, and it's nice to see that we are going back to that bit again. It was quite nice, and I'd say it was quite weird that like, Donnie didn't already have a version of the cure already like made. I found that to be quite weird because well, it's Donnie. He normally comes prepared and all that, but yet they I don't know. It's so weird because he didn't come with it and took like quite a few minutes just to get it ready. Yeah. But then I would say it was quite weird because and turned Sydney back to normal, and well, she was naked. Last time when this happened, they all covered up their eyes and quickly turned around. This time they just stared.
I no comment. Yeah, no, I didn't really think about that. I thought she would have had the clothes on like last time, and I didn't even pick up on that, to be honest, until you've just said it, because I thought she had the clothes on like last time, like the clothes would regenerate around her, but clearly not, and the turtles are like, where are your clothes, you know?
Yeah, it was, I don't know, because I think that, like, I mean, it makes sense for all that kind of stuff, but I'd say that last time with how they reacted, it made a lot of sense. But saying it this time, it just feels so creepy and weird, and especially because I also do it like later in the episode where everyone turns back to normal. Now, mostly you think, oh yeah, the turtles will look away that time. No, they stare and clap and cheer. I know they like they're cheering because and the mission's well, but it comes off so wrong in a different context when you realise that like and just standing there cheering, but yet the people don't know that they've done a good mission. All that it's just. Should we just move on to the next bit?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, yeah. So with the next bit, Sydney does talk about about what happened with them trying to find crystals, and in the end they got and blew the big one. The only thing which I really got to say about that is, one, that was very stupid of them to try and do that. Two, how did they survive? They have no food or water down there, and it's boiling hot because of all the lava. How were they able to survive for more than, 3-4 months? Possibly longer? How?
Yeah, mate, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe they found some algae growing on the walls and started eating that. I really have no idea how they've survived this long, and how they haven't fallen into the lava, or how they've just lived down there. I really don't know.
Yeah, it was...
Even I can't even figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a decent explanation, but I'd say that it just comes off so stupid when, like, some of them are supposed to be, like smart people, and yet they decide to blow up the one thing which could actually help them. If they were flying on cars, why didn't they go up to the crystal and take off the crystals piece by piece instead of blowing it up?
Yeah, come to think of it, why didn't they just do that instead? Like, instead of just blowing up everything and just kind of destroying your whole lives right there and then, or even worse, bring the whole crystal coming down on you and onto the city and killing everything. Why didn't you just go and find a crystal from the crystal? That sounds weird. Find a crystal from the crystal. Yeah, just pick up a little piece of the crystal from the crystal, and then do your experiments on that instead of just blowing up everything. Like, there's no actual sense. There's no intellect behind that decision. Like, surely they would have tested out these explosives first. Like, surely, like, oh, let's throw some of these explosives at this giant crystal that's literally hanging above Necropolis, and then let's just see what happens, you know? That's literally what they thought and did. That is just... It's so illogical. It's so... I don't get it.
Yeah, and also, what are they expecting to happen when they throw, like, 30 grenades at it? It's... man.
They had no idea how powerful these things were, and they thought, oh, let's go and just throw all the grenades we have at this giant crystal that's keeping us human and alive.
Yeah, and then they decided to, like, stupidly, like, plant, like, a lot more of them around the tower, and they didn't think, oh, maybe this could create a crater, and we could all, the place could get flooded. It's... There's a lot of stupidity in this episode that makes me look like a genius, which that's not a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's clearly they didn't thought this through. They didn't think of anything in this one. They just thought, you know what, we're desperate. Let's just throw out all common sense and just destroy it, just blow everything up.
Yeah. Okay. So let's actually talk about them actually doing a plan. So, do you want to talk about the Turtles versus Monster stuff first, or Donnie stuff first?
I don't mind. We can start with the Donnie stuff first, if you like.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Donnie went down, and they're losing the heat shields because that's a thing against lava, and they was trying to wrap the crystal around with a rope to try and pull it up. Even that sounds stupid because the rope could have got cut. The rope could not might not pull it up, and it's just. Yeah, what do you think about that bit there?
Well, first of all, I don't think the rope could have gotten cut because it's made from the same material as the crystals, so basically indestructible, as Donnie said.
Wow.
Secondly, yeah, but secondly though, this is going back to me saying that this vehicle is OP and indestructible. Like, somehow Donnie has created heat-resistant material that can withstand temperatures of 1,000 degrees and beyond that in lava. Like, lava is... It's lava, it's hot, it's hot. I mean, very hot. If you want specifics, like, how hot is lava? Lava is probably like... It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Here it is. So it can get up to 700 to 12,000 degrees Celsius. No, Celsius.
Cool.
Degrees. Yeah, 700 to 1200 degrees. That's how hot it can be. That can melt steel. That can melt basically anything. And they somehow went down, survived, came back alive without them frying and without their body liquefying. Because if that thing's... Sure, the thing's indestructible, right? But you've got to imagine the immense heat in that giant tin can. You're like boiling it away in like an air fryer or like a microwave, and your insides just boil and melt. And somehow they still survived. I don't understand how. And I'm looking too far into this, but it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'd say it's a decent scene, but there's a lot of stupidity going into this. And then also, I'd say, because I'm saying for like crystals, saying is like indestructible against like to lava, but at the same time, how do they know that? Donnie's only tried like acid and all that kind of stuff, and the only thing which she found out that actually worked was the sound. But how does he not know that lava doesn't affect it? Because lava can destroy pretty much anything, and he's put a lot of trust into saying that it's indestructible without any research. And this is the person who does a lot of research and all that. It's just, but it's so stupid and all that kind of stuff. Not to mention all the stuff with the tunneler being able to go on. It's just so stupid, and I just wish that like they just done things differently. I feel like there's definitely better ways they could presented this scene in a much more interesting way. It's just so annoying because I want it to be good and enjoyable, but I just can't stop thinking how stupid it is. But yeah, I feel like I'm just pretty much going to be okay repeating all the stuff which you said.
Yeah.
So we do have the stuff with the turtles, fighting the monsters and trying to keep them away from the bombs. What about that bit there?
To be honest, it was kind of cool to see them fight with the new backpacks that Donnie had invented. And I'm going to go on another tangent here again. Donnie has created another cool invention, which is somehow very overpowered, and somehow has laser cannons.
Yep, and you never see the rucksacks again.
How? Why? He develops rucksacks with laser cannons, zip lines, nets, and somehow it's... I don't understand how it works. Like, how? Like, laser cannons, how these things get empowered? Like, sure, Donnie creates some really good stuff, like the rucksacks. When they first went down into Necropolis, and they built those rucksacks for an adventure, and it was a story development tool, and it was actually materials that he sourced from the scrapyard to build and to actually explore, like actual explorer gear. And then, of course, a few episodes down the line, he then has the technology for laser cannons, nets, launchers, zip lines, and I'm like, where has this come from? Well, where? How long have you been developing this? Where has the laser technology come from? Like, there's no context behind it, which annoys me, because I'd love to know all that little bits. Like, how? Why? It just doesn't make sense. Even though it's a really cool piece of kit, it doesn't make sense story-wise. Like, how does it work?
You have to say that, like, that's probably one of the biggest, like, downside to, like, Donnie's inventions is that, like, they're just a bit too overpowered where, like, you can't use them too often. And I do think that, like, it's, like, really annoying because, like, I mean, I'd say, like, they're really cool things. And, like, it's, like, so annoying again. Like, just, like, why wouldn't you take that? I mean, they could, like, really just, like, kill Shredder with all this kind of stuff. You know, to change those lasers up to, you know, missiles or bombs or nuclear weapons. You know, just something for a bit of fun. You could absolutely destroy Shredder before he even realises it. It's just... like, so annoying, but, like, because I have all this stuff and don't really use it, and I feel like you definitely like reuse it again. Then, like, maybe like a future episode they like get destroyed somehow and they explain it. But the fact that they don't use them again, I think that's what the more annoying part about it is that they just don't use it. It's, but like even like the tunnel and all that kind of stuff. It's like, why wouldn't you use it again? It's so powerful. But also at the same time, I do think also another question is like, how would you like use these equipment again without making it feel a bit too forced in? Because I think like the tunneler, that's understandable because how do you drive around the city? But even taking like, if you had to like take the tolls with the rucksacks like around the city, it would seem a bit out of place, I would say. But it's just so annoying because you got this amazing stuff. Just like, why don't you use it? It's just so annoying. But I do think the tires do look great with the rucksacks. It's just annoying because why? But yeah, I have to say, like, I would say it was like a pretty like really interesting fight compared to like other fights where it's just more typical, just like hand to hand and all that kind of stuff. Whereas this one, they was had to get like very like tentacle like zip line around the place, shooting people, and it was actually quite dramatic as well. Because I would say like when Mikey was first like flipping up the like side of the building to go run off, I thought that was really great to see him like using his gymnastic skills, something which you don't normally get to see too often. And I'd say that this fight had a lot of like interesting ways he was able to go around it, fighting monsters without actually fighting them. But I felt like there was, I'd say that, like also like what I said earlier with like the monsters, they didn't really feel like they had much of a threat really compared to like the last time we saw them, where they really felt like a big threat, and it felt like you should be scared of these monsters because of what they are, what they can do. But they just felt more like an obstacle than a threat, and just felt like they were just like wasting time. Really, it's just frustratingly annoying because you can tell for like they wanted to do something bigger and better, but they had to like restrain themselves to like doing something like this. And I'll just say that like even like this whole episode as a whole, which I think might be the best way to sum this one up, is it felt like the most recent Nano episode, where it feels like they're trying to like recapture the spirit of the like last time we saw that like the stuff in like season 1, but yet they can't really come up with new like fun ways to make it like as good or even better than the first time I saw it, and it just comes to it feels very forced into the show. That makes sense, or is that just me?
Yeah, no, I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure. It's I'm on the edge I'm on the fence with that one.
Okay. Well, yeah. So after that, we do get to see Donnie. He's injecting them with the cure. Now, another little problem bit here. We got to see Donnie use one vial to cure about 3 people before Sydney brings over the next bunch of them. Now, Donnie only had 1 crystal and was only able to cure 1 person before saying, "Oh yeah, the crystals ran out." How is he able to cure 3 people now with 1 like tube compared to before? It's and also like you don't really need that much, really. You can just like put 1 like drop in them and all that. Like if you look at Mutant, you only need 1 little drop. Like, anything to say about it or not?
To be honest, it was kind of weird how they managed to get so much more. Like Donnie didn't bring down a sound device with him, I don't think, to like liquefy the crystals. And secondly, they're using the same syringe. Like that's a bit dodge, right? Like using the same syringe.
Get more for your money's worth, I'd say.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Oh yeah, you know. Like they're sharing like syringes. I'm like, what? How does he have? And also, how does he have so many more syringes? Like, we didn't see him take any medical equipment down with him, unless it was in the indestructible vehicle that we didn't know about. And then it's like, where does it come from? Like, has he got an infinite backpack like in Harry Potter? Like, it's yeah.
I can tell by you losing your words at this one.
Yeah, no, I'm starting to like question a lot.
Yeah, okay, so let's bring back to a bit more normalcy. So for the final bit, they all go back up to the surface and then just walk away. Okay, I'll let you start with this one.
To be honest, there's not really much I can say, except for the fact that they're just walking in the street, like, they've got nothing to do, they're just walking aimlessly. And I'm surprised the New Yorkers haven't clocked on as, like, who are these random people that have just come out the sewers wearing these random robes and stuff that look like they haven't seen the sunlight before? Like, surely someone should have picked up on that.
Well, this was, like, very early in the morning, so I guess that makes sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, but I don't know. Like, they're just wandering the earth now. Like, what do we do with our lives? There's nothing really too much to say with that, unless you've got something to say.
Oh boy, do I. Okay.
Oh, okay then. Buckle up.
Okay, so first of all, like, they're going off to... just wandering off as if they haven't spent like, the past... I think they said it was like over a year, and they... like, you know, like, people probably been looking for them and stuff like that. What exactly are they supposed to be doing with their lives and all that? It just seems so... I'd just say it actually followed us up with a future episode where we did actually see what they actually did with their lives after this, because like there's so much you could do with this, because I mean I was trapped away for, like, so long underground and all that, no human contact, and now trying to get back to normal. There's just so much that he didn't they're left very vague. It's just like, okay, you're cured. Piss off now. And well, yeah. I mean, what did they? It's just like so much they could. I mean, there were so many story elements they could have done here with all this stuff with them trying to get back to normal and seeing like how it affected them. With like maybe they want to go back because it was only like they knew and stuff like that. There was so many things which like they could have explored with this whole thing, and like maybe like the cure like wears off after a while, and maybe the city is attacked by these monsters. There's so much so much possibilities they could have done with this, but the fact that they never followed this up is one of the most stupidest things they do in the show. I'd say that this is possibly like another really bad episode just for all this stupidity. It's just what. Either way, the episode ends.
Yep. On that note.
Yeah, what do you think about this episode overall?
Overall, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a decent episode, but I wouldn't rate it as one of my top 10. Let's just say that. Like, sure, it's good. We get to see the underground and all that again, and the people. But to be honest, this episode left me with more questions than answers, really. Like, first off, why are there so many more of those people? The entity. Why are there so many more of them that we've only just figured out now that they're just down there in stasis? Like, what's that story all about? Like, do we ever know why they're in stasis still? Do we know why they're down there? Will they ever come out of stasis?
You find out next season.
Oh, next season. Okay, then. That's fine.
Yeah, when they try to bring an apocalypse.
Spoilers? Jeez.
It's not really, but I'll stop him in time.
I know, but... You know, spoilers.
Oh, you'll forget about it after we stop recording.
Yeah, fair point. But yeah, no, it left me with more answers. It left me with more questions than answers, really. But yeah, I can't really rate it too good, but it wasn't too bad either. How about you? How did you rate this?
I'll just say that I enjoyed how they did follow up on the whole like stuff with the underground stuff. I thought that was really great. But I think that the more that we talk about this episode, the worse it gets, which is... I mean, I'd say that it's almost on the same level as the like most recent Nano episode, where it's just like, the more we talk about it, it gets harder to be like, yeah, this is a decent episode, but I really want to like it, but I just can't, which is annoying. But, yeah. Okay, well, either way, moving on to the next bit, which I think will be a little bit more interesting. So, as per usual, for our mid-season break, we're going to be doing, following up on a different Toll universe, to get you, a bit more caught up with other Toll media. Now, we decided to, start the comics, which you've barely read any of the comics. You've only read the Batman and Toll crossover, and also the very first issue of Turtles. So, I was asked, before, like, talking about the next stuff, like, what sort of stuff do you expect from the comics? Considering that like, they have to like, do a little more darker stuff and have to extend storylines over like several issues and years. Like, what sort of stuff are you somewhat expecting to see in this, or are you just expecting for the weirdest shit ever?
Yeah, option 2, really. I'm just gonna expect the unexpected. Really, I'm thinking this is gonna go absolutely nuts. So. I am completely leaving this open for now. I'm not expecting anything, but I am expecting something to go like absolutely mad within these comics, because after watching so many episodes of the TMT and seeing all these different versions, and now going back to the originals, like the comics, I only imagine that it's going to be a lot more crazier in the comics than it is now watching these series.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I think you're going to have a lot to talk about with everything that in the comics, a lot more than like... Because I'd say that just shows this like one thing of what you can expect, because it's like TV stuff, and you somewhat know what to expect because it's Turtles and TV, but because the comics have a few limitations, I got a feeling with what you're expecting is not what you're actually going to be seeing, and with what you do actually see, I can just imagine. I'm already predicting this now. We're going to be talking about the like too specific stuff for quite a while, just because of how big of a change they made to the Turtle universe, which I can already guarantee that we're going to talk about it for at least 10 minutes on each subject. It's very big changes, which I think you're going to be really proud of. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, and this is and we're going to be doing the IDW comics, and I don't know what I think IDW stands for, independent work or something along those kind of lines. Either way, the company is in a very bad position where they only are making Turtle comics and Sonic comics, and on the for the investor stuff, you can invest in it for about 30p, and that's how much you need to pay just to get a stake in the company. That's how bad they are doing for for business. So yeah, but 10 years ago things were a lot different when they did have a lot more IPs. We had Turtles, they had My Little Ponies, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and then over the years they lost them all. But at the beginning it was a lot different. But so this this series has been going on since 2011 and had over on the actual monthly titles had over 150 issues, but then also combined with all the other miniseries is about, I want to say it's coming up to like 300 issues overall. So we've got quite a lot to talk about with this, and we'll be talking about the first 5 issues. Now this story arc is called Change to Constant, and once you see the changes you'll be like, oh my god. And for this, I will be doing something different, which don't normally do. I'll be reading the description because I got a feeling because you can't really make anything from Change to Constant. So, and the description is: the group is broken as Raphael wanders the streets of NYC in search of food and shelter. His brothers must splinter on the search, but damn it. Oh no! I was going so well. I must be on the search, but so far they can find is trouble in the form of mutant alley cat, Old Hob, and his gang of criminals. The very core of the Turtle family is at stake as the new origins of TMNT is revealed. So, yeah, do you think you can make anything from that?
That does sound very interesting. It sounds like it's a bit more down to earth sort of things, like they're trying to survive in the sewers, they're trying to search for food and shelter. Sounds a bit more, I'm not too sure, sounds a bit more grounded and dark in the sense, but this is only speculation, only from a few words, so I could be completely wrong. So I until I actually read it and see it, I have no idea, but that's what I think. I think it's going to be a bit more grounded. They're going to be searching for food and shelter. They're trying to survive in the sewers and trying to hide from the people, trying to get back to some sort of normality sort of thing. But that's only speculation for myself. So when I see it, I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's completely different to what I was thinking. It's like, oh damn it, it's completely wrong, but hopefully I'm on the right tracks.
So I don't know. It's sort of hard to tell, really. But there's one thing which I was say, which I'm quite interested to hear your opinions on so far. In the description it says that Raphael is broken from the group, and this version. So basically, after Turtles and Spencer was mutated, Raphael was separated, and as they grew up, Raphael was more or less homeless and searching the streets for food and shelter all by himself, while the other Turtles were must splinter and training. I'm quite interested to hear what your thoughts are about that when just hearing that alone, because I know and that's one of the biggest things going into this series, which had everyone really curious about. So I'm quite interested to hear about your opinions about that.
That changes things. That certainly does change things. I'm thinking now that if the Turtles, if Donnie, Mikey, and Leo are with Splinter and Raphael goes his own way, then I'm thinking he becomes a vigilante. Like, I'm thinking he becomes something of like a Dark Knight or like a proper I wouldn't say anti-hero, but not a villain either. Somewhere in between, perhaps, and he grows up to deal with the world in a different way to what the Turtles might have been growing up with Master Splinter's guidance.
Okay, that's... It would have been cool if it did that. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't go in that direction, but it would have been cool if it did that. Then like, also, finally, because this universe, they've adapted a lot of stuff from previous versions of Turtles, over like adapting stuff from other comics and other versions of TV shows, and bring characters and concepts into this universe to readapt it and modernise it to a more modern version of Turtles. So with that, because you've seen, like, I'd say like a fair share of Turtles now, like, what sort of stuff do you expect to see in this universe in terms of like characters? Because I'll be quite interested to hear like which characters you want to see the most.
The characters I want to see the most, of course, you've got the Turtles, of course, but really, I'm not too sure. Like, this is new territory that I'm going into, and I'm not too sure what the original comics hold, whether they were developed enough with the new characters, like they are today. Like, it's really quite a mystery. Like,
these ones, and and it's basically like it takes everything from like other versions of Turtles and brings it into this version, and like use it to like their universe. So did that make sense? So like and bring characters from like 2003 show into it, but use it for like their purposes and change it up so that it fits that universe. So I mean, I'm quite interested in like hear like which characters you want to see the most, because like I mean, because as you can tell, there's like so many versions of characters and different like mutants and all that. So I just wonder like which ones you want to see the most.
I think I'd like to see Leatherhead. Leatherhead's a cool character, and he's been a pretty cool character since day one for me. When I first saw him, he was like a pretty good character that people play as. He's this uncontrollable, raging crocodile that lives in New York City, in the sewers. Another character I would like to see, I'm not too sure if he may be in it, maybe Baxter Stockman, to see if he's in it. And potentially so we've got Baxter Stockman, Leatherhead, and I think, that is, I don't know. I don't know who my third one might be, but there's so many, and trying to narrow it down into like a short list is quite difficult.
Yeah. Okay. So with Leatherhead, he shows up, but about 50 issues into it, so you'll be waiting a long time. Baxter Stockman, you do see him fairly early in the series, so you don't have to wait too long. He's not as good as 2003, but he's better than 2012, so he's somewhere in the mix, but he's not really divert, but he's better than 2012. Yeah, so I'll say like with like this universe with the characters, it is like so surprising with who they do bring into this one, and it does become more of like a, oh my god, it's you, and like there's some characters which I thought would never make an appearance ever again, and they did, and I'd say that might be the reason why I like this one the most. I say like, I do generally mean that. I think that this version of Turtles is better than 2003, and well, you know my opinions on 2003, so.
Yeah, I know that all too well.
Yeah, so it's a pretty like great universe, and I think that this could be a good start for you into getting into the comics. Whether you actually stick to it is a different question.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Like the comics, like I hear there's a lot of comics, and of course trying to keep up with it all might be a bit difficult, but there's always a challenge, and I do like a challenge.
Some advice, just don't.
Oh.
That's the best advice I can give you. Just don't.
Okay.
But yeah, do you have anything else to say about this episode, or are you sort of done with this one?
To be honest, I'm pretty much done. I've pretty much said what I needed to say and get it off my chest. But yeah, no, I'm sorted. Like this episode, I mean, was pretty good, but not as good to reach like my top 10 or be somewhat excited about, which is unfortunate because I could have done a lot more with this, but unfortunately, it just hasn't taken my interest as sorts.
I'm gonna struggle making the top 10 list this rate. But yeah, I mean, I'd say for overall, I enjoyed elements, but it is a stupid and frustrating episode, which I just don't want to talk about anymore. But yeah, this has been another episode of Talking Turtles. I've been your host, Teddy.
And I've been Hayden.
And we'll see you all soon. Goodbye, yo. Bye.
Bye.